Hey guys, it's Rick, and it's time to close out the March reviews with the fourth week of March. I watched 6 movies that I'd like to talk about. Like I said, this is what I watched at the end. As you guys know from the thumbnail of this video, none of them were on physical media. I had an advanced screening, something on Netflix, something on Hulu, something on Vudu, 2 titles on Netflix actually, and then something on HBO, and we'll get to that. And that'll kind of lead into my next video, which I'll tease, and I'll mention it when we get to that review. So the first thing we watched was on Hulu, a documentary called Kid 90. The trailer was intriguing. It was made by Soleil Moon Frye, who, if you don't know, played Punky Brewster in the 80s television show Punky Brewster. She was a celebrity child actor. She was a huge name. And this talked about, like, she had home movie footage of hanging out with all these different celebrities. People like Leonardo DiCaprio. Who else was in it? Mark Paul Gosselaar, Brian Austin Green. And then she also got into some celebrities who are no longer with us. The one that really stood out was her relationship with Jonathan Brandis. If you don't know who Jonathan Brandis is, he was in Ladybugs, the movie Sidekicks with Chuck Norris. Also Sequest DSV, I believe it was called. And he died at a very young age from suicide. So the movie is definitely very, very heavy in parts, heartbreaking in parts. It was kind of fun to see all these like child actors hanging out and trying to lead normal lives. But it also got into a lot of Soleil Moon Frye's issues that she had as a child actor. She started developing really, really early and rapidly. Ended up getting surgery to get a breast reduction done. And people were just saying really disturbing things to her. She wasn't even 18 at the time. So the footage that's in there with Jonathan Brandis is heartbreaking. It talks about like all these people she was friends with in the community. There's also actors that were in the movie Kids, that have both passed away, that she talked about, that she even, I think they lived with her, or they were in and out of her apartment in New York. It was just crazy. Like I said, a lot of it talks about her development and what happened, between the ages of 15, how she started out as like a normal child star and they would have fun, got into drugs and other different things. And I wish the movie was longer. I think it's only like 70 minutes or 75 minutes. I wish the movie was longer. I was so into what was on the screen, and it was sad and funny and just crazy to see and interesting to see that she had all this home movie footage hanging out with all these people that I grew up watching. And the way that it mixed like current interview footage with like old home videos, it was just very well done. I really, really enjoyed Kid 90. I give it a 4 out of 5. If you guys have access to Hulu, I highly recommend it, especially if you were like an 80s, 90s kid. Seeing the footage of the actors, I really think people will really enjoy watching that. Although, like I said, some of this movie is absolutely heartbreaking and sad to sit through, but I still found it so intriguing to watch. So Kid 90, 4 out of 5 for me. The next thing I watched, thanks to being a Patreon member of Mega Podtastic, Crazy Joe's channel/podcast, he did a giveaway for codes for the movie Happily, which Paramount Pictures released, which starred Joel McHale, as well as some other familiar faces, but Joel McHale was the lead. And basically, he has a marriage in which him and his wife are so in love, they're all over each other. Their friends get frustrated by it because they're so in love with each other and obsessed with each other. And they go on this getaway, and you find out that all the couples kind of have these little issues. This felt very much like an episode of Black Mirror. If you didn't tell me it was a movie, took out the opening credit scene and watched it, I would say, oh, it was a new Black Mirror episode, because that's what it felt like. The premise of the film was really good. The idea of the film was really good. However, it suffers from a very, very weak third act, in my opinion. A disappointing third act. Oh, that was a big yawn. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, the idea behind the movie is fantastic. But like I said, the third act, very weak. An interesting watch, but something I don't need to like go out and buy or own. I would definitely recommend it for a one-time watch. I think it's an interesting idea. There's interesting parts. But personally, I didn't love it. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5, happily. The next thing we watched was pretty cool because it was an advanced screening that we watched through my connection with Mind on Movies, which I've mentioned before. So I got invited to do an advanced online screening. I used to go to advanced screenings in theaters, but that hasn't happened in a long time. So the movie was Boogie that we checked out. It's a coming-of-age film that that the lead is an Asian actor. His name is Alfred Chin, but he goes by Boogie because he says that's his stripper name. He's a senior in high school. He gets transferred to a more popular high school in his town because he's trying to make the NBA. His dad is really pressuring him to make the NBA. So he goes to this school where he can get noticed by scouts and get drafted by the NBA. So, he wants to skip, I think he wants to skip college. And no. He wants to go to college. That's the other thing. He doesn't really come from money. So he's moving to this upscale high school so he can get noticed by bigger colleges. This way he can get a scholarship and then go in the NBA. So that's basically the premise of the film. You also meet his two parents who, like I said, live two very different lives. It shows how they got together when they found out they were having a baby. The dad, like I said, is in and out of jail. He's really pushing his son to be in the NBA. His mom really wants him to just go to college and focus on his studies. And the movie is good, but the climax of the film, the big last 20 minutes of the film was very anticlimactic. Just felt like they were building up all this steam, and I was very interested in where the story was going. It just didn't pay off, in my opinion. I know there's some award buzz around this movie where I personally don't get that. It is a good coming-of-age film. Refreshing to see. I definitely enjoy it. I would recommend watching it, but it's not going to win awards. Like I said, the conclusion of the film really, really hurt my enjoyment. This was probably on pace for a 4-star movie, and then the climax of the film just put it at a 3 for me. Just above that, it was good, but it was not a great film in my opinion. So 3 out of 5, the film Boogie. And then something we're going to talk about that I was not a fan of, and that is the Prom on Netflix. Now, there was some confusion when I said I was watching The Prom on Netflix. There's a movie called Prom that Disney put out. A lot of people have found at Dollar Trees. That is not the movie that we watched. We watched The Prom from 2020, a Netflix exclusive that stars Meryl Streep, James Corden, Nicole Kidman, Andrew Rannells, I believe. So it stars those four. It is directed, I believe, by Ryan Murphy. So I paused the movie 25 minutes into watching it, and I was already tired of the four name characters. Meryl Streep, James Corden, Nicole Kidman, Andrew Rannells. I was already kind of sick of their characters. Because they're all Broadway stars that have failed in their careers, and they find out that there's a girl who, because she wants to bring her girlfriend to prom at a high school, the school is canceling prom, basically, because she's not allowed to bring her girlfriend to prom. They're canceling the prom, and the stuff in the high school was interesting. This is a straight up musical too, singing numbers to further the story. But that's one of the other things that bothered me about this movie is the music. They were forcing to forcing the plot along. Like, it did not come out smoothly, in my opinion. James Corden, for some reason, wasn't playing a British person. He was trying to play an American, and he has a horrible American accent. He should have just stuck with being a Brit, because that's what he is, and he could not pull off the American accent. Like I said, the stuff with the kids in most parts of the movie were enjoyable, but then the celebrities, the adults, came through and really, really just made the movie unbearable, honestly. It dragged out. I slept through a good part of the middle of this movie and didn't want to go back and see what I missed, because I watched the conclusion and it doesn't seem like I really missed anything, honestly. So I gave The Prom a 1 out of 5. I do not recommend it. It would have been on my worst of 2020 list if I had watched it in time for the recording of that video. So I give it a 1 out of 5. It was pretty awful, and I do not recommend you sit through it, because it is terrible. And it's way too long. Like, it's over 2 hours and should be like an hour and a half, and I don't even think that would have helped it, honestly. So the movie I had mentioned kind of in the beginning that we watched on HBO, my girlfriend and I, went on a trip to Red Bank, New Jersey. Just like a little weekend getaway, and you guys know what's in Red Bank, New Jersey. So I'll just say in my next video, I will be showing stuff that we got at a record store in Delaware, and then what I grabbed on my trip to Red Bank, New Jersey. When we went to Red Bank, we also went to a Suncoast video. There's like 5 Suncoast videos left in the country, or 6, something crazy. I've not been to a Suncoast video in like over 15 years, so we'll talk about that. I got something for my collection there. And yeah, so that's a tease for the next thing. So we were in our hotel room fairly early, eating some dinner, and HBO was just about to come on with a movie that I've seen before but have not watched in a long time. So I said, "Do you want to watch this?" And we popped it on. I ended up falling asleep the last like 20 minutes of the movie, but watched it on HBO Max the next night back at home, the last 20 minutes. I was very tired. It was a long day, lots of driving. So the movie is Keeping the Faith, which stars Ben Stiller, Edward Norton, and Jenna Elfman. So it was Edward Norton's directorial debut, one of 2 movies he's directed, the other being Motherless Brooklyn. And it's fun. It's a romantic comedy, buddy comedy about 2 best friends, Ben Stiller and Edward Norton. And they make really good friends with a female, played by Jenna Elfman. And Jenna Elfman ends up moving away. The 2 guys stay friends. One becomes a rabbi, one becomes a priest. And then Jenna Elfman's character comes back into their lives, and they're both still like in love with her, basically, because she would like flirt with them when she was younger and give them a kiss, but they were just good friends. Like the 3 of them, they were the 3 amigos, basically. And growing up, they're both single, and they both have feelings for Jenna Elfman's character. So she comes in their life and turns things upside down. It's really a funny movie. I laughed quite a bit. There's also a lot of heart, and it's just a well-done film. I really, really enjoyed it. I forgot how much I enjoyed the movie upon a rewatch. So definitely was worth the rewatch. I definitely enjoyed watching it, revisiting it. I give it a 4 out of 5. I highly recommend Keeping the Faith if you have not seen it. It's a fun movie, and features good performances from the 3 leads. So the last thing we watched in March, the final film of March 2021, was on Netflix. And it's a film called Bad Trip that was supposed to come out in early 2020. Trailers for it came out like the end of 2019. Obviously 2020 happened. It got pushed back. Netflix bought the rights to it. And it stars Eric Andre and Lil Rel Howery. And it basically is in the same vein as a Borat or Bad Grandpa, where it's a hidden camera movie, but there's a plot device to get the movie along that Lil Rel and Eric Andre, as well as Tiffany Haddish, who plays Lil Rel's brother in the film, or sister, sorry, Lil Rel's sister in the film, and they push the plot along. So Eric Andre, if you guys aren't really familiar with him, he has a show called The Eric Andre Show on Adult Swim. It's very bizarre and out there. I tried to show it to Bridget. She didn't really have any interest in it. It's a very weird show, but I find it very funny how uncomfortable it is. You can Google or YouTube Eric Andre Show clips. It's not for everybody. That is for sure. So this movie wasn't as enjoyable as Bad Grandpa, which I enjoyed quite a bit. A lot of people don't like that. I enjoyed it, and I love Borat, the first movie. So definitely not as good as two of them. A lot of people were praising this online, and it's why it had me really curious to watch it. That was hilarious. They were shocked by how funny the movie was. There were definitely parts where I was laughing out loud, but then chunks of time would go by where I would just be bored. And it was a short movie, and I would just find myself like losing interest. And it was funny, but watch it if you want, but temper the expectations, because I kept hearing good things. I was excited about it back when I saw the trailer. I give it a 2.5 out of 5. It's just like middle of the line for me personally. So that is it, guys. 21 movies watched in March. You can tell life is a little more hectic now. Work has been extremely busy, which I'm so grateful for, because this time last year I was a month into being without a job, furloughed. I was watching a ton of movies. The reason I started doing weekly reviews was because this time last year I was watching like 10 movies a week, and I had tons of time to record content, and now I have to like set aside 3 or 4 hours on a weekend to try to record a month's worth of videos. This way you guys keep getting content. So I am glad that work is busy, life is busy. Still watching movies, but not to the extent as I was then. I'm, watching on average 4 to 5 movies a week, which is still good, but also trying to watch some TV and other things and enjoy time with the family. So 21 movies watched in March. Hot trash of the month was The Prom. We had talked about that earlier this video. It was horrible. I do not recommend it. But also on Netflix, a movie I do recommend, really, if you have teenagers, if you have high schoolers, even if you just like that kind of movie, the movie Moxie with Amy Poehler's directing it, writing it, I believe, writing and starring in it. Also, Ike Barinholtz, Patrick Schwarzenegger, just a really, really good movie. One I highly recommend, just well done, entertaining. So Moxie, check it out. Surprise of the month. And that is it, guys. So thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe if you guys don't do so already. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you guys know when new videos drop, even though Tuesdays and Fridays is the schedule. So also check out the description box down below where you can find links to my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, where I rate and review all the movies I watch, my eBay store, Amazon wishlist, Blu-ray.com profile, email address, P.O. Box can all be found down below. Also links to the Movie Hoarders trailer, the Movie Hoarders pre-order, which is a documentary that I will be a part of in July, and the link to buy your Down to Movie t-shirt from the Cinema Sickness Spreadshirt store. That is it, guys. So as always, until next time, who's down to movie?